Thanks, Adam. Those were the first words that erupted from my wife's mouth as the end credits rolled on Ken Russell's monotonous mindbender 1980s Altered States. Honey, we can't blame Adam. He didn't make the movie, he just assigned it to me for a classic review, the theme being Transformers. We should have watched Transformers then. It sucks, but at least there's giant robots who turn into cars. My poor wife. Look, it's my fault. If anyone is to blame, it's me. Every so often, I ask my wife if she wants to join me in the viewing of any of the films we explore here in the cutting room. More often than not, she wisely avoids them, Peeping Tom, but she was sincerely curious about Altered States. But boy, was she pissed. Do you know how precious my weekends are? We could have been watching so many other movies we want to see, like that HBO documentary about Frank Sinatra we've been trying to finish for 8 weeks. Altered States? I'm sorry, honey, I'm sorry. I know you work hard, and that the last thing you want to do on a Saturday is spend it with Charles Hayde and Bob Balaban screaming at each other. Meanwhile, the whole time I'm imagining Adam just laughing smugly at this situation, as he is frequently apt to do. So here we go, counselor. Here's what I got out of Altered States, the film you assigned me. An arrogant asshole named Eddie Jessup, played by William Hurt in his screen debut, decides to take it up a notch by doing every hallucinogenic drug he can get his greedy, grabby little mitts on while floating around inside a sensory deprivation tank. Jessup's a member of the Dead Dads Club. He's fed up with his life and studies and soon comes to the conclusion that his scary smart mind is the oh-so-special one that deserves to be expanded and inevitably abused to its most stratospheric, infinite realms. After he goes to Mexico to drop ayahuasca, he comes back as an even bigger dick, scores some other tank out of like the Craigslist of the time or something, and somehow, someway turns into Chaka from Land of the Lost midway through the movie. But it's not even William Hurt as Chaka. It's some little dude. Chaka! It's some little dude running around, right, Tom? Anyway, the little dude runs around wreaking havoc, killing security guards and eating zoo animals. Now that's a transformer. But of course, that's not enough for old Ed Jessup. Oh, no. Because the next thing you know, he wants to go even further beyond the beyond. But this time, he's now got a wife to worry about, and he keeps stressing out his battered, bearded buddies, Balaban and Hayde. So by the third act, Jessup has morphed into a giant, blonde poop man who screams a lot and burns his wife. Look, I couldn't even begin to tell you what the fuck this movie was trying to say about science and man and the dawn of man and mind expansion or whatever. It made no sense to me. At least with David Cronenberg's The Fly, I got what Jeff Goldblum was trying to do. He was trying to build a teleportation machine to make life easier for all of us. A fly got stuck in one of the pods during a test, merged DNA with Jeff, and well, I don't have to tell you how the fucking Fly movie goes. My point is, you felt for this Goldblum lunatic. He was a crazy scientist, sure, but you understood his purpose, and you cried when he died. But William Hurt, I don't know. He just seemed like a selfish cock, hell-bent on getting off on the greatest high, much to the expense of his loved ones, no less. And I don't really get how that became a physical transformative thing. It didn't help that Paddy Chayefsky's script is so bloated with nonsensical conversations, weird monologues full of words like archetypically American, limbic, and laryngeal sac. And all the actors are eating food while talking or screaming over each other. Huh? What was that? What did he just say? Oh, big surprise. Paddy took his damn name off this thing. Once he started fighting with director Ken Russell throughout the making of this monstrosity. Look, maybe I wasn't baked enough to truly appreciate what was happening in this movie or grasp its heady, beyond my comprehension ideas. Sue me, I'm a wino, not a dope fiend. I wasn't on LSD when I watched it. I was on a 2013 Coppola's director's cut Pinot Noir. But I do love druggy trip-out movies. I do. Gilliam's Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas? It doesn't get any grander or more glorious than that. And I love Duke and Gonzo as people. But Altered States was just silly to me, and not fun silly, like stupid silly. And I don't think I have ever in my life witnessed a more abrupt, insipid ending than the one in Altered States. You're right, honey. I did go too far with this experience and these experiments. Thanks for showing me the road to sobriety. You're an asshole, William Hurt, and I'm sick of seeing you naked. And why didn't you play Chaka? And no doubt your character fell off the wagon a week later when he caught wind that crack cocaine was just around the corner. Anyway, thanks, Adam.
You're welcome. Oh my God.
wow.
I don't think I'm with Max, man. I was so disconnected from this movie. And Max, thank God he did turn into Chaka because that was the only thing that was interesting that
The
ever
only
happened in this movie. Yeah, that and when Bob Balaban was putting his food away in the cabinets and making the sandwich. That was interesting too.
That
But
was pretty great.
but Chaka was the best. I mean, I swear I'm like watching this film for an hour. Just I'm with you. I'm just like, what the fuck am I watching? What am I listening to? What is with these people? I'm so disconnected from all of them. And Chaka comes along and literally makes things exciting for about 10 minutes. So luckily we did have that. I just couldn't get into.
Did you not see it when it was
I
out in the
never
East?
saw it before. I've always had it on my radar. I've always wanted to see it. It's been referred to as a very important film. It's a druggy film too, Joe. And I could get behind that. Like Max said, there are certain films that are really well done. And I'm a big fan of Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. I think that's an awesome. I don't even have to be on drugs to enjoy Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. I think I might have had, maybe if I took some shrooms or something, Joe, I could have went somewhere with this movie. But clean and sober, I just couldn't get into it. I mean, it's just not for me. I couldn't. I don't know. Ugh. No, thank you. I don't even know what to say.
no, thank you.
Yeah, no, thank you.
Pass.
I thought it was pretty neat. I liked it.
Of course
a lot.
you did. You're Jeremy Garcia.
Yeah, he likes everything, Max.
He likes everything.
He finds the good in every movie.
I
He's
do
one of
not
those
like
guys. Yes.
Hear-
you do.
Hear my Juno rant on various other podcasts.
So you don't
I
like
hate-
Juno.
Oh, I despise that movie. But
Give me one other movie that you despise.
one other movie I despise. Oh God, probably. Hold on,
Let's move the pace here, kid.
Oh, okay. Rob Zombie's Halloween. There's another one.
Jeremy.
Hate it. Multiple. Unwatchable.
Now you didn't like it because they demystified Michael, right? That's what Rob did in that film. That's the thing that bugged me, and I believe it bugged Adam. And we love Rob Zombie.
It bugged me, but it also, I thought all the characters were obnoxious. Like, everybody was screaming every single second of that movie.
Dirty white trash characters that Rob loves.
Yeah.
Not in Haddonfield. Not in Haddonfield.
And I do enjoy, I do enjoy some of his movies. Like, Haunted World of El Super Beasto is really dope. But, like...
That was his comic book thing.
Right.
Yeah,
Wow.
he made an animated movie.
That's the one you picked.
Yeah, it's great.
With Giamatti.
Devil's Rejects is cool, too.
That's a masterpiece, I think. And I think Adam
both of
agrees.
those films are really good.
I like
Thousand
all
Corpses.
Yeah.
I mean...
Jeremy, have you taken acid before? Is that why you like this movie?
No. I don't know. I thought it was pretty interesting.
No, you didn't like take acid when you watched the film, or like have you taken acid though?
I can tell you exactly how I watched the film. I sat in my chair, I had a glass of water, and I sat back and enjoyed this bizarro relic of...
Right.
What do you wear when you watch movies? Because Bill Chetty wears jorts. So what do you wear?
I wear shorts and I wear my wolf shirts.
Your fucking wolf shirt. What did I tell you about them wolf shirts? Listen, man, it's time to get you laid. You got to take those shirts off.
Jeremy, I wore wolf shirts.
Nobody
It was the 90s, though. It was the 90s.
What is a wolf
Adam's
shirt?
not wearing a wolf shirt. He's just not wearing a shirt.
It's a shirt with a werewolf on it, and I have gotten...
Joe, it's like a
many of-
painting of a wolf on a shirt.
Like one of the the Walmart prints with the picture of the wolf.
You asked Max, why didn't William Hurt play Chaka? I think Adam Shoulder was too busy playing it.
Oh, boy.
I nailed it, if you ask me.
You did a great job. You were the best thing in the movie.
Yeah, you were great, Adam.
Thank you.
Now, Jeremy, do you watch movies with your mommy? Because you live with your mom, but she doesn't drink, so you don't get to drink with your mom?
No, I don't watch movies.
What?
I don't watch movies with my mom. No,
Why not?
We have pretty different tastes and stuff.
You don't have little date nights with mom?
No,
I'm
not really.
About trying to get it on with your mother. I'm talking about Because like my mom and I used to love watching Scarface together and the Rocky movies. Like those were our movies, and I got so excited. Thanksgiving time we'd always watch Rocky together. Every Thanksgiving I used to watch Rocky with my mom. You don't have a movie with your mom that you like to watch with her?
Well, I mean, we went and saw Halloween in the theater recently.
Always about Halloween. It's always Halloween, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I'm a big like Halloween month dork. Like I just love that time of year. And we went to we saw like Texas Chainsaw in the theater. We saw.
Was it a revival?
Yeah. Well, the local drive-in had a marathon of the first two Elm Street movies.
Oh, now you didn't say it was drive-in. You said it was
drive-in. Nice
work.
work.
Yeah. It was the first two Elm Streets, Texas Chainsaw, and Creepshow.
Now, do you sneak food into the drive-in? Like, does mom have a little dinner and a little candle?
No. We got
brings
like,
a dinner to the drive-in. Who would bring a dinner?
What are you talking about, Tom? That's how it's done. My wife and I, every time we go up to the Central Coast,
snacks.
there's a drive-in, and we stop at this awesome Mexican restaurant. We get a Mexican buffet spread, and we find our spot in the drive-in, and it's Mexican buffet in the car. The sunroof is open. Double feature. Come on, it's glorious.
Maybe when I went to the drive-in as a kid, it was like we were poor, so it was just like, hey, fucko, you're just lucky to be here.
Who said that to you? Your mom, your dad?
Who talked to you that way, Tom? Jesus.
You know what? My mom's boyfriend, he was such a dick. He would fuck with us. Like he'd be like, I remember one time they took us to see Tootsie, and he couldn't just take us to the movies and let us enjoy it. Like he would tell us beforehand here, like before we'd go in, he'd be like, we're not here to see the movie. I'm supposed to meet this guy in this brown jacket, and once he gets here, we're out of here. So you'd sit there instead of enjoying the movie, you just worry about the moment that you were going to have to get dragged out of the movie. But it was all bullshit.
Wow.
Yeah, that's some pretty powerful stuff. Yeah. He was such a dickhead, man.
Sounds like the Cosby Show.
So anyway, no, Adam, we didn't have any fucking fancy Mexican food at the drive-in.
Fancy Mexican food. I'm sure it's out of the styrofoam box, right, Adam?
This is from Tacos del Mexico.
Right. It's like out of a styrofoam box.
Next to the Chevron station on the way to the drive-in, man.
We had a full Thanksgiving turkey, and we had mashed potatoes and...
Are you doing stand-up comedy, or are you serious?
He's doing a bit. He's doing.
I'm doing sit-down comedy because I'm sitting.
Now, is that room clean? Did you get those dust bunnies under the bed? Did you clean that?
Yeah, I recently cleaned my room in a fit of inspiredness.
Now, let me ask you. When I used to clean my room, I would close the door, and it was a big show. It was a presentation for my mom. Mom, come here. I'm ready.
Right.
There's my clean room. Did you do that?
I did, yeah.
Oh, that's so. And what'd she say? Did she give you a reward?
She said good job, and
good job.
She was very proud and happy.
Hey, Jeremy, listen, if we're going to have you on, you're going to at least have to sound like you're happy to be here.
Oh, I am. I am.
Otherwise, I don't know what else to do, man.
All right, now hold on. Now, Jeremy, let's take it back for a second. You said you liked Altered States, right? We've got two like people now that really didn't like it. Max and Tom didn't like it. You said it was cool. Why did you think it was cool, man?
Well, I appreciate. Well, I thought it was interesting because getting the sense of what was happening, because this is the kind of movie like it's very visual. So I was trying to think when I looked at the visuals of the film, like what they could probably be getting across. And what I sort of think the movie is about is because the William Hurt character is so kind of like detached from his loved ones and everything, pretty much. He's so obsessed with making this giant scientific discovery because of his hubris and his sort of... I got the sense that when because the first hallucination sequence, you see him like throw down the Bible and you see this other sacrilegious imagery. I took that as like sort of he kind of renounced God after like his father died or something. So he's kind of overcompensating from the other side with the science, and he's so hell bent, and it's kind of like the science is like his new sort of, I guess, God or religion or whatever, and he's kind of obsessed to the point where he's just completely detached from everybody, and he learns through these bizarro things that happen to him over time that he, what really matters is like kind of the moments, day-to-day moments with his family and everything. That's what I kind of got from the film. It wasn't perfect. Don't get me wrong. I mean, like the whole ape sequence was utterly ridiculous. And
what?
That's the best part of the movie.
It's part by far.
It was great. It was great. It was entertaining.
All right, you tell me how did he turn into an ape? How did he turn into Chaka? If this guy's doing drugs and he's trying to expand his mind to the infinite places, how come he physically transformed into Land of the Lost guy?
You see, that kind of stuff. I don't know. I mean, that could have been. I don't know. It's one of those things where it's one of those kind of relic
Did you
weirdo
cry when
movies.
he started eating the animals? Because I did. I got really mad.
I didn't. Yeah. That stuff was kind of unsettling, but I was more annoyed because I thought, oh, okay, this movie is going to be a monster goes around and picks people off movie, and I was like, I don't know. I was like, oh, I thought this movie was going to be more interesting than basically a slasher movie with this silly ape monster.
That sounds like a great
that ape monster silly. One more time.
Yeah. And not only that, but that ape monster running around terrorizing for 90 minutes, that's a good movie.
Oh, I mean, I disagree because that movie is called Shakma and it's terrible. there's this like
Jeremy knows all of these funky movies I've never heard of.
He's like, they already made that movie.
Yeah, they did. It's about a genetically altered baboon that kills people in the hospital.
Good. I hope he kills a lot of people in the hospital.
Who? Chaka?
The sick and dying. No, in this weird movie Jeremy's talking about.
But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of stuff. It was like it reminded me of like sort of Jodorowsky stuff where, I mean, I don't really know.
No way.
I don't know if it has any sort of answers, but it's
Jeremy, let me ask you this. When you watch movies that were made in the past, this was made in 1980. When you look at a film that was made in 1980 and you're watching the actors on screen, do you say to yourself, man, it sucks they did not have Crest white strips back then?
That doesn't enter my mind, but sometimes it does. Like, I can't watch Austin Powers because of his teeth.
Yeah, but his teeth are fake. That's a goof. I'm talking about these people. Like William Hurt's teeth are yellow. I love William Hurt. I love him. But his teeth are pretty yellow in this thing.
I mean, I don't know.
Are you taking care of your teeth?
Floss? Lately, I've been getting on that more. Like,
you mean lately? Do you floss?
Yes.
Okay.
You can say no if you don't, Jeremy. Don't do it. Don't say yes to appease him.
Oh no, I do.
Okay, all right. Just making sure. I don't want him bullying you.
How? Oh, no, I would never. I love this kid. How many times do you brush your choppers a day, Jeremy?
It varies. Sometimes once, sometimes twice, sometimes 3 times.
All right. Now, do you pick your teeth with dental picks when you get meat in there?
No, I don't. I don't think I don't have a dental picks.
They got these great dental picks. They're really great.
Joe, okay. What is he doing?
I'm writing this down.
It sounds like the train has jumped around.
Are you ready? They're called the Doctor's Brush Picks. Go pick some up.
I know them. I've got
them.
They're
when was the last time
triangular toothpicks?
When was the last time, if ever, you had a day where you only brushed your teeth once?
It might be a day I had the flu.
Okay. So what happens?
It's happened once. Twice.
Once or twice.
I try to brush my teeth once a day, whether they need it or not.
Oh, good boy.
Good, Adam. That's a good Adam.
All right. So we're talking about Altered States. We haven't heard from Christiana yet, so I'm very interested to see what he has to say about Altered States. Joe, have you seen this before?
I've seen parts of it. I do remember seeing little clips of it when I was a kid, and it always interested me just because it was so shocking. The imagery was really shocking.
Right.
Those hallucination stuff. But if I did see it, it was probably only bits and pieces because I probably had no patience.
It doesn't sound like you're too excited about it.
I enjoyed watching it just because it was like it was like sort of cathartic in that, like I said, it's always been in my memory as little bits and pieces, but finally seeing it and finally understanding what it was about, it was like, oh, okay. It was kind of like a bucket list thing where, it felt like I needed to check it out and see it. Look, I think that Max, you hit the nail right on the head. That the whole thing of him physically transforming seemed a bit like a contrivance. It seems like an impossibility. But again, I thought that there were some, and I got hooked on. I got snagged on that. It was distracting. I mean, you go in there and you can have a spiritual trip out, hallucination, or whatever.
Yeah.
But you're not physically gonna emerge.
Right, to have an actual event.
Yeah, I don't.
Or was that a trip? Was he on a trip and that didn't really happen?
Well, no, it did happen. I mean, didn't they say like things were actually dead?
Yeah,
and
right.
There was people.
And he woke up in the zoo.
Doesn't mean that he turned into an ape.
That's true too.
Wait, but there were. Oh, they took the X-ray and he had the ape physiology, or whatever, the anatomy or whatever, and all that stuff. I think it was meant that he actually did transform, which was annoying, which was irritating and distracting because there was no explanation for it. But that said, I do kind of dig the ideas that were, I guess, kind of going at it, and I sort of like I thought it was an interesting sort of abstract bit of short film sequences with all those hallucinations that you don't really see. I mean, now it would be all a CGI hallucination like. What's his name did the Pie Guy did with that Fountain movie, which you know what I mean. So, like I like that this guy was doing like symbolism and all that stuff, but I'm not like Jeremy. Right? It was going by too fast for me to even try to friggin' pick apart the symbolism in it. But Max, I had the same reaction. I sat down with my wife to watch it, and after like 10 minutes, she got up. She's like, "All right, I'm out of here."
It's not a good date movie. I will definitely say that. It's definitely not a good date movie.
I mark my words. If Adam watched it with his wife, she loved it. They watched it together. They had a great time. It was all amazing.
You see, I didn't even ask her to join me to watch Altered States. The reason we have a high hit ratio.
She just joined you?
No, she didn't see that one.
Okay, all right, fair enough.
No, there's sometimes I will say, "Hey, I got to watch this for the show. You want to watch it?" But like the movies that I choose to put it out there for, I know, at least have an opportunity of being well received.
That's good. See, I get hurt when my wife. Here's a little bit of confession. I get hurt when my wife won't sit down and watch old movies with me. She'll sometimes. It's like every once in a while we'll sit down and watch. She can watch old movies. She likes foreign films. Especially new films. So we watch all sorts of shit. But Max will like this. Like if I put on like something like just some obscure old film, it's like very rare that my wife won't watch it, and then I'll be like, "Oh, these movies are really important to me."
Well, at least she has the choice, Joe. We don't have the choice.
I force them on.
Your wife can walk out of the room. I gotta sit there.
I thought this was interesting in that I sort of remember the 80s having that this sort of echo of the 60s where there were like these older hippies sort of hanging around from the 60s, and they weren't old, so there was still like these echoes of the spiritualism,
and not only that,
and all these all the Merry Pranksters and all these guys who were,
I love all that shit, but
messing around with hallucinations and finding spirituality through.
And there was a big the Vietnam War movies too were real big in the set.
Yeah, well, you got to think in the like late 60s, early 70s, kids who guys who were like in their early 20s, mid 20s, they were like early 40s, and so it was like they were kind of still living that thing, you know what I mean? So I think that's what I thought that was kind of neat because just having a new perspective on it as being older and seeing that, and I think that just coming from the town that we've went over this a lot, being having a heavy hippie influence in my town for some weird fucking reason. There was a lot of ass and a lot of people were tripping out and everything. So
But that makes no sense for North Jersey.
it doesn't. I don't know what.
Like, it really makes zero sense. Like,
I know it was a weird microcosm, but I do. But it doesn't sound like you guys have. Well, maybe Adam, but you guys don't have much experience or like with hallucinogens, or it was never a thing. I mean, doesn't that come into play when you watch a movie like this?
well, yeah, I mean, Joe, I mean, my first, time I think I took a hallucinogen was with you.
Yeah, I know. And by that time, I had
Done it like 100 times. I was like 20. I'm like
yeah,
awesome.
it was like I was like your spirit guy.
You know what I do remember standing in the living room. We were listening to Jane's Addiction's Triple X live album, and I think Fritz the Cat was like on TV, but like not sound wasn't on. And Joe was like Joe was talking to me, and he was like really like dead serious about something. And he's got like Joe when he gets into it, like his right hand, like he'll start pointing at you, and like he does like he's like really getting his shoulders are like hunched over, and he's like telling me something. I forget what he was saying, but I remember looking down at him, and it was like he was like 2 feet tall, and I was like 15 feet tall, and it was just like the weirdest thing I remember. Was we were taking mushrooms, I think, but dude, I've taken acid.
Have you ever had a trip or an experience where it felt like you were getting like you've totally seen you've seen the world in a new way, or yourself in a new way?
Yeah, I took a liquid acid one time where I literally lost like probably about 3 or 4 hours of time, like where I sat down and it was like 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, and the next thing I knew, it was like 5 or 6 in the morning, and I was like staring at something like across like this building from across the street, and I just was like in my own head for.
Well, it's just like it's that you just experience the world, and like you have a completely different like it just feels weird, like you feel like you've seen. It's so hard to put your finger on, you know what I mean? Max, have you had that? Max, do you have any tripping experience?
Listen, any experience I have with drugs has to do with a certain person we may or may not know.
Fair enough.
May or may not be on the
may or may not present company, possibly included.
Really, seriously, that's it. And I think he is the only person, this person we speak of, on the planet that I would allow to be around me while I did LSD, because I want to have. It's so funny you just mentioned Fritz the Cat, because I was going to bring up Robert Crumb, and I was going to bring up LSD, and actually I thought a lot of the trip out scenes in Altered States were pretty cool, even for the time. I love trip out sequences no matter what. And I really loved the sand thing. I thought that was just beautiful.
Oh my God! Yes, Max, you're right. You're right.
Very haunting and very powerful. And
watched that for 90 minutes. I would have thought that was a beautiful film.
Yeah, and Ken Russell, come on, the dude's a visionary. Let's face it. I mean, he really is. I mean, I'm not a fan of this film, but I love Crimes of Passion. I think that is such a great film. Did you guys ever see that one?
Dude, this guy is a guy who escaped me. I watched an interview with him, and he was talking about all these movies. I have no inkling of this guy's stuff.
Yeah, I'm going to bring Crimes of Passion to the cutting room.
I've heard of The Devils. I've never seen it. I know how controversial it was. I've read a lot of things about the censorship that movie met because of like some of the
he's had a lot of trouble with censorship, and like he's very controversial. And from what I was hearing, Max, the interview that I was listening to, I was like, oh, I gotta definitely look into this guy. So I'm looking forward to it.
Listen, one of the best times I ever had in my life was with this guy we may or may not know, and there was mushrooms involved, but I don't think the dosage was proper. It didn't matter. It was just tripping out on a campsite that had no water. You had to make do, and it was the night. It was empty. There were fires, so like you couldn't have a fire either. And it was just two dudes getting their fucking drink on, eating these weird mushrooms, and I was drawing all this crazy crap, and we were making videos, and it was just seriously one of the best times of my life.
Wow, that sounds very productive for being on.
There's a 6-part video series that document this camping trip
open a production studio.
May or may not have been a part of.
Yeah,
that can be found on YouTube. highly
it's called
recommend.
Max and the Counselor Go Camping. I think it's a classic.
Please
You know what?
watch them in order.
Put that in this show. Put that like as the videos you put.
Sure.
That is the experience. But
I believe you guys will all enjoy taking the time to watch the 6-part the 6 parts in order.
I might watch it later.
I highly recommend it.
But be under something or on something or whatever.
Oh,
But
I
no,
will be.
yeah, I really want to do. It's so funny. I always think, gosh, I'm gonna do drugs when I'm old. I'm gonna be like Burroughs, like when I'm 68. That's it. I'm gonna do heroin. I'm gonna do LSD. Because it won't fucking matter. I'll just be a rotting shit shell. May as well go for it then. But right now, I'm a little afraid. I've got.
Well, that's what I was gonna say. When you're younger, you're still malleable enough, and you're still fearless enough that you can lose. You're okay with just abandoning everything.
You're comfortable with a lot of things. Your physicality.
Well, you're not afraid to just let go.
Sure,
You're not too.
Yeah.
That's what I.
But listen,
funny,
I love tripping out, Joe. But I won't do it now because you know why?
I can't.
Because if I look in the mirror, I'm done. I'm done. I'm done. I will fucking.
Why, do you
That's
think your
scary.
blackheads are coming out of your nose as little black?
No, it's just like you'll study yourself and you'll think about and you'll just
like the way you look physically.
if I did acid and I looked at myself in the mirror, I'm done.
There's no way to reconcile the thing that you're feeling with the person outside of it because a lot of times exactly what's going on in this movie is that you lose your sense of self, which is what the point is in a sense, is to experience the world in a selfless way. I know that's we're crossing into new territory here, but when you see your reflection, it's like you're diminishing your ego, when you're on a
Right.
trip because you're letting loose of all the things that you.
Right.
For some reason, you're not. Your barriers start going down. All your convictions. You're starting to see the world in a different way, and then you see your reflection, and then you're like, "Oh, I can't be inside of that because that no longer exists the way that I used to understand it." It's a frightening concept.
Very. Oh, Joe, tripping.
It's great. It's scary to think about it. Adam, you play. You may or may not be playing the part of a spirit guide in a pilot that may or may not be a film that you made.
Oh my God,
right?
This is correct.
Perfect.
Yes.
I was so mad at that beard that he has on because I thought, oh my God, it's so wrong. It's so wrong. And it wound up looking really good. But it was totally different color from the rest of his head and hair, But they
I didn't
fixed it.
on it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I didn't even pick up on it. So Adam,
Yes.
you have plenty of. You may or may not have plenty of experience on. I don't even know. how to
No, I
talk
don't.
about it.
I don't have plenty of experience. It's. I think, but I've had enough. Yeah, I've had good experiences. But yeah, nothing too serious or too crazy. But I have had a few of those experiences where sort of new ways to look at things have been opened up, and sort of like I don't know if I'd call them life changing, but certainly perception changing.
Oh my God, we were in
experiences.
Seattle. And he's living up there with my best friend from high school. But then those two became best friends. And then they became their little secret society best friends. And they would throw me a bone and have me come along now and again, though. So we're all up in Seattle.
I know this story.
The X-Files, they're like they are getting to the center of the universe. We're going to find out.
I was in deep. I was in deep.
And then I went with them to the goddamn Seattle Food Festival, and they're both walking 15 fucking feet ahead of me. And I'm like, you know what? Fuck these assholes. I don't need to be here. And then they turn around, they're like, hey, man, you got to try bark. I'm like, what the fuck is bark? And it was like this bullshit. They said, this is the new high. This is the new way. This is going to put you on the plateau. And I'm like, what? So there's 9,000 instructions. Well, first, take a true story. And then you got to chew on the thing. And then you got to spit it out. And you got to pick it back up off the ground and put it back in your mouth. And then you got to spit it out again. And then you have to stick your finger up your ass. And then you got to fuck a girl. And then I was exhausted.
Oh my
In the bark. Bark did nothing. It
Nothing.
did bark. It
Oh, I thought they were messing with you. They
No,
weren't
we
just
were
messing with-
serious.
They were on the bark zone. Not me.
Adam, you should have gave him bath salts.
Oh man, this shit is all true.
Bark.
Guys,
It
can
was
I watch ER with you? Jesus Christ.
it was some kind of like organic ecstasy or something, and you had to take like 4 pills and chew on bark and 3 drops in orange juice. I don't know. It was nuts. It was nuts. What was the question? Huh? What happened? Oh, altered states? I don't know.
You gonna ask him how he feels about this film?
Who, Adam?
Yeah.
No. I hated this movie so much. I don't even want to. I want to know anything he has to say about it. No thanks. We'll move on.
That's awesome.
So who's doing Wings of Desire? Cristiano?
Jesus, are you serious?
Wait a minute. Can I ask Jeremy which brand of toothpaste he uses?
You didn't get into the brand.
No, we got to hold on. We got
Let's
to
find out that.
I want to know what Adam.
Yeah, I do too.
We'll get to Adam, but I want to know: are you a Colgate fella, Jeremy?
I use Sensodyne.
The hell is that?
You got sensitive teeth?
Yeah, they were.
You got a problem with your enamel?
I think so, probably.
Oh boy.
He's a very sensitive little guy.
I have sensitive
Weird
teeth
shit on
too.
Facebook. I don't know what Jeremy's ever talking about. He'll just
Like what?
bursts.
What?
What? Like you'll have a little just burst, like you'll put out a sentence. I guess now is the time to die. And then in 5 minutes, I'm watching
I'm watching Bicycle Thief, and now I'm here.
Yeah.
The 2 movies he watches the most are Bicycle Thief and Halloween.
And Jeremy, I hate cryptic. You're like, well, that's that. And it's like, well, honey, what do you mean that's that? And I don't want to get involved.
Well, I mean, occasionally I'll just be like kind of stream of consciousness, like stuff that I just want to like. I don't know, like because I'm living in this fucking like dead
Right.
town. There's
I'm
nothing
sorry.
to do.
Living in
You're
what?
doing that Fred
Well,
Armisen
Max-
bit of that stand-up comedian that never finishes that thought.
No, I was just gonna say, Adam, Max, when is the Jeremy impression channeling?
It's just this thing
Golly gee.
here. My mom, I mean, she's, it's just, I'm wolf shirts, and yet, I don't know.
This is an honor, Jeremy.
Yeah, it is.
A rite of passage.
Do you know who Max Cook is? Do you know what he's capable of doing in the channeling world?
Yeah, he's a very good channeler.
He's the best.
I'm a very
All right,
business
I'm gonna ask Jeremy. Okay, Jeremy.
Yes.
Where do you get your? I'm asking Max. Where do you get your wolf shirts?
Max, listen to Joe.
I'm waiting for you to answer, Max.
Well, I guess the stores are there. There's stores I know patronize, exhaustion, indifference, and yet.
No, Jeremy, you do live. I mean, in Ohio. Are you close to the stores? How do you get to the store?
Yeah, I mean, I'm close to the stores, I guess, but not that close. I don't want to be immersed in consumerism.
Do you go to the mall with your mom?
I do, and this guy came up to my mom. He looked down at her toes, and he starts complimenting her toes. And I got really mad, and I raised my fist, but nothing.
Oh my god!
Remember that story, Jeremy?
I do. I have the biggest smile on my face right now.
I listened to you, and I remember your story about mom's toes. I like
Yeah,
that.
yeah. Well, yeah. It was weird and awkward.
Wow. I'm
Yes.
so glad we had Jeremy. I'm the one that said, "Hey Tom, we're gonna have Jeremy on the last 2 shows, right?"
Yeah, it's all you, Max. You're the guy that set this up.
All right, let's talk about Adam's feelings about.
Yeah, real quick, Adam, what's going on over there? They want to hear what you think about your movie here, Altered States.
Well, listen, this was a movie I saw, like I said, on Select TV when I was like maybe 11, around the time that I also discovered 2001 on Select TV. So, it had a powerful and profound impact on me. Not that I got any of the symbolism or read too deep into it at that age. I was just purely blown away by the visuals. And I think in the past, like 35 years, I've seen it once until recently when I watched it again. And still, I mean, in context, visually, it's just such an interesting movie. It's filled with flaws. I don't even mind the fact that somehow this guy physically transforms. I just go with it. It's like, sure, all right, that happened. Somehow that happened. I'll just go with it. Just really, I thought an interesting movie. I'm not even looking too deep into the symbolism. I'm impressed, Jeremy, that you're able to pick some stuff out of there. But I know it's there. But I just think it's just a cool movie that for 1980 was exploring some things that I thought were probably pretty cutting edge in 1980 to be exploring both visually and cinematically, just story-wise, theme-wise. So I just think it's a cool film. It's not great, but it's pretty cool.
Are you happy, Joe?
Yeah, I sort of feel the same way. But you know what? If for nothing else, it definitely is going to put me on this Ken Russell guy because just those hallucination sequences alone, I gotta at least see some. And he was talking about all this weird shit about he filmed a scene in some other movie where nuns took Christ off the cross and raped him or something.
That's the Devils, yeah. That's the movie.
Yeah, I don't know
really
what the fuck is going on with this guy. The
dude's made some interesting and controversial movies.
Didn't he make one of like some rock band?
Yeah, the Tommy. Yeah.
Yeah, he made Tommy. Yeah.
Some rock band.
Yeah, he got Jack Nicholson to sing.
Rock band.
Yeah. It's one of those rock and roll groups.
How old are you, Jeremy? I forget. You're 24.
I am 21. I turned 22 in December.
He's just a little shit.
Yeah, he's on with us 40. What are we
little tiny shit?
What are we doing?
What
are you talking to this little shit?
Take the credit for it.
21.
Tom, could you imagine when we were 21, like where we were at, if Skype was around, could you imagine us on a friggin' Skype with 40-year-old?
Asked me to.
I'm old enough to be his grandfather.
I would have told those guys fuck off.
Yeah, we would have been on there. It would have been like,
yeah.
We would have been doing all sorts of weird shit, putting the microphone in the toilet and all that.
When I try to talk to people my age, all they want to talk about is 22 Jump Street, and I'm just like,
Now that is a great film.
I haven't seen it, but it didn't look that great to me. But
those guys are transforming into different characters throughout the whole movie, are they not, Jeremy?
Yes, they are. I saw lots of fake mustaches.
Let's get at it.
Are your fellow 21-year-olds? Do they give you any hope, or do they say, "Wow"? Do you say to yourself, "Wow, these people are beneath me. It's all hopeless. I can't roll with these fuckers. Where's my mom?"
I mean, I never look at someone like they're beneath me because I was in fucking special ed classes. I couldn't spell. I couldn't do math. Like I wasn't that smart. So no, I don't look at people like
hated spelling and math. I was in basic math, Jeremy. I was with the mutants. I was in AP English and I was in basic math. I flunked math terribly.
Yeah, it was Max and 5 Chakas.
It was me and 5 Chakas, and the only way I got out of that class was the teacher was so stupid. I went up to him and I said, "Hey, listen, can you give me an A instead of an F? Because I really want to be in the play next semester." "All right." And he gave me the A. He didn't care. Fuck math. You don't need a math. You got the calculator.
Exactly.
All right.
I mean, I didn't get a math credit until
I've lost control, Joe.
Until my senior year. So there you go. Okay.
Ask Jeremy to transition us into the next.
I've lost control.
Lost control again. No.
All right.
I'm all right with this because I'm like dreading reading my review of Wings.
Well,
of
we're going to go do it right
Uh-oh.
now. So here he is, Joe Cristiano, Wings of Desire. Here we go.
Thanks, Adam. Those were the first words that erupted from my wife's mouth as the end credits rolled on Ken Russell's monotonous mindbender 1980s Altered States. Honey, we can't blame Adam. He didn't make the movie, he just assigned it to me for a classic review, the theme being Transformers. We should have watched Transformers then. It sucks, but at least there's giant robots who turn into cars. My poor wife. Look, it's my fault. If anyone is to blame, it's me. Every so often, I ask my wife if she wants to join me in the viewing of any of the films we explore here in the cutting room. More often than not, she wisely avoids them, Peeping Tom, but she was sincerely curious about Altered States. But boy, was she pissed. Do you know how precious my weekends are? We could have been watching so many other movies we want to see, like that HBO documentary about Frank Sinatra we've been trying to finish for 8 weeks. Altered States? I'm sorry, honey, I'm sorry. I know you work hard, and that the last thing you want to do on a Saturday is spend it with Charles Hayde and Bob Balaban screaming at each other. Meanwhile, the whole time I'm imagining Adam just laughing smugly at this situation, as he is frequently apt to do. So here we go, counselor. Here's what I got out of Altered States, the film you assigned me. An arrogant asshole named Eddie Jessup, played by William Hurt in his screen debut, decides to take it up a notch.
Couldn't get into.
Did you not see it when it was out
I
in the
never
East?
saw it before. I've always had it on my radar. I've always wanted to see it. It's been referred to as a very important film. It's a druggy film too, Joe. And I could get behind that. Like Max said, there are certain films that are really well done, and I'm a big fan of Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. I think that's an awesome. I don't even have to be on drugs to enjoy Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. I think I might have had, I maybe if I took some shrooms or something, Joe, I could have went somewhere with this movie. But clean and sober, I just couldn't get into it. It's just not for me. I couldn't. I don't know. Ugh. No, thank you. I don't even know what to say.
No, thank you.
Yeah, no, thank you.
Pass.
I thought it was pretty neat. I liked it.
Of course
a lot.
you did. You're Jeremy Garcia.
Yeah, he likes everything, Max.
He likes everything.
He finds the good in every movie.
I
He's
do
one
not
of those
like-
guys. Yes.
Hear-
you do.
Hear my Juno rant on various other podcasts.
So you don't
I
like
hate
Juno.
Oh, I despise that movie. But
Give me one other movie that you despise.
one other movie I despise. Oh God, probably.
Let's move the pace here, kid.
Oh, okay.
By doing every hallucinogenic drug he can get his greedy, grabby little mitts on while floating around inside a sensory deprivation tank. Jessup's a member of the Dead Dads Club. He's fed up with his life and studies and soon comes to the conclusion that his scary smart mind is the oh-so-special one that deserves to be expanded and inevitably abused to its most stratospheric, infinite realms. After he goes to Mexico to drop ayahuasca, he comes back as an even bigger dick, scores some other tank out of like the Craigslist of the time or something, and somehow, someway turns into Chaka from Land of the Lost midway through the movie. But it's not even William Hurt as Chaka. It's some little dude.
Chaka!
It's some little dude running around, right, Tom? Anyway, the little dude runs around wreaking havoc, killing security guards and eating zoo animals. Now that's a Transformer. But of course, that's not enough for old Ed Jessup. Oh, no. Because the next thing you know, he wants to go even further beyond the beyond. But this time, he's now got a wife to worry about, and he keeps stressing out his battered, bearded buddies, Balaban and Hayde. So by the third act, Jessup has morphed into a giant, blonde poop man who screams a lot and burns his wife. Look, I couldn't even begin to tell you what the fuck this movie was trying to say about science and man and the dawn of man and mind expansion or whatever. It made no sense. Williams' Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas? It doesn't get any grander or more glorious than that, and I love Duke and Gonzo as people. But Altered States was just silly to me, and not fun silly, like stupid silly. And I don't think I have ever in my life witnessed a more abrupt, insipid ending than the one in Altered States. You're right, honey. I did go too far with this experience and these experiments. Thanks for showing me the road to sobriety. You're an asshole, William Hurt, and I'm sick of seeing you naked. And why didn't you play Chaka? And no doubt your character fell off the wagon a week later when he caught wind that crack cocaine was just around the corner. Anyway, thanks, Adam.
You're welcome.
Oh my God.
Wow.
I don't think I'm with Max, man. I was so disconnected from this movie. And Max, thank God he did turn into Chaka, because that was the only thing that was interesting that ever happened in this movie. Yeah, that, and when Bob Balaban was putting his food away in the cabinets and making the sandwich. That was interesting too. But
That was pretty great.
But Chaka was the best. I mean, I swear, I'm like watching this film for an hour. I'm with you. I'm just like, what the fuck am I watching? What am I listening to? What is with these people? I'm so disconnected from all of them. And Chaka comes along and literally makes things exciting for about 10 minutes. So luckily we did have that.
Sense to me. At least with David Cronenberg's The Fly, I got what Jeff Goldblum was trying to do. He was trying to build a teleportation machine to make life easier for all of us. A fly got stuck in one of the pods during a test, merged DNA with Jeff, and, well, I don't have to tell you how the fucking Fly movie goes. My point is, you felt for this Goldblum lunatic. He was a crazy scientist, sure, but you understood his purpose, and you cried when he died. But William Hurt, I don't know. He just seemed like a selfish cock, hell-bent on getting off on the greatest high, much to the expense of his loved ones, no less. And I don't really get how that became a physical transformative thing. It didn't help that Paddy Chayefsky's script is so bloated with nonsensical conversations, weird monologues full of words like archetypically American, limbic, and laryngeal sac. And all the actors are eating food while talking or screaming over each other. Huh? What was that? What did he just say? Oh, big surprise. Paddy took his damn name off this thing. Once he started fighting with director Ken Russell throughout the making of this monstrosity. Look, maybe I wasn't baked enough to truly appreciate what was happening in this movie or grasp its heady, beyond my comprehension ideas. Sue me, I'm a wino, not a dope fiend. I wasn't on LSD when I watched it. I was on a 2013 Coppola's director's cut Pinot Noir. But I do love druggy trip-out movies. I do.